This is the Vaterra Ascender, and it was released in 2014, late 2014. I got mine in early 2018, and I paid the equivalent in today's money of $500 US or 700 Australian dollars. It's been about a decade, and the base camp was similar money in today's money. Today I want to look at how different things are over a decade. Although my Vaterra Ascender has been in pieces for quite some time, I've put it back together and it's nearly what you would have gotten. I don't have the original tires and wheels anymore, unfortunately. I've got Rock Beasts on here on plastic beadlock wheels because they have a very similar size and character to the original Ascender tires, which weren't terrible. The K10 Chevy here came on chromed wheels. There is, however, brass in the corners and beef tubes inside these axles. Beef tubes, the company haven't made such things for these for quite some time, but this has been kitted out with an order from Beef Tubes some years ago. So we do have brass at each end, beef tubes, and I think they call them patties, the little lower end weights on the front suspension. In today's market, the base camp is actually fairly premium for a basic car, but it's also current as far as technology goes. So we'll take a look at these underneath, we'll see what's changed, we'll see what's similar, and then we'll quickly just punt them around the rocks here and see how they feel. Now, I also don't have the original equipment in here, unfortunately. We've got the ISDT 70, which Banggood sent me. Thank you, Banggood. And I quite like this little ESC. I think we might do a little ESC roundup in the near future because I've got version 2 of the WP1080 coming as well. So we'll do a comparison. Oh, I even have the Hobbywing Bluetooth remote that does all these smaller ones. Anyway, we'll get to that. I've put basic equipment in here and we have a 540 motor. So internally, these are fairly similar. I guess the most glaring difference, if you know anything about the Ascender, is the battery tray, which has been cut up over countless projects over the years. The battery tray floated with the front suspension. It's not quite put back how it originally was because I haven't got all the little bits for it, but it's close. So half of your weight from your battery does sit on the front axle, which doesn't make it comp legal, but that's how it came. And that's partly why it was chopped up, because I did comp with this. In fact, this thing's even traveled with me to the Worlds in Perth in 2018. And it delivered a middling result, I think from 30 something competitors. I was high teens or something like that in results. And that was even with the breakage. It was a stinking hot day. That's an aside. So the wheelbases are both similar. They're not identical, but they are similar. I guess the biggest thing to note is that you get portals, and that's a real trend that didn't exist a decade ago. I remember when the TRX4 first came out with its portal design and all the little servos, and everyone made noise about, oh, the complexity, it's going to be terrible. But you know, even when electrics started appearing in real-sized cars decades ago, people said the same thing. Mark my words, they won't last, they'll break, they won't be reliable. But as with anything, if you give it a bit of time, manufacturing does improve. I don't have weights installed in the base camp, so it's a little bit of an unfair fight, and I'm sorry about that, but I don't have the original parts to replace with the non-brass, so we're stuck with how this is. I still thought it would be informative though, because we do have some similarities here that, well, we might just see some interesting results. These base camps should be hamstrung, honestly, over the Ascender, but this is older tech now. Both have straight links, both have metal links, slightly longer wheelbase, both have nice plastic skids. One of the party tricks of the Ascender was the adjustable frame, the adjustable wheelbase based on a two-part frame piece, which gave you some difference in wheelbase. I could have actually made this longer now I think about it, to make it more equal, but anyway, that's how that was. Now the other thing that's interesting to me at least is with a chassis mounted servo, they're not always installed like this, but both of these are vertically mounted steering servos. The orientation is slightly different, but there you go. Of course, the base camp gives you space for different servo placement and also a servo mounted winch, which you'd put on the opposite side so it can clear the panhard to get to your fair lead. They're both mid-mounted transmissions as well, and they're both single speed. This is a 32 dot pitch gear, this is a 48 dot pitch gear. That means smaller teeth and smoother, higher resolution, low speed control. They're both running a 3-pole motor though, This came with a 35 turn. It's got a 55 turn in there because that's just what I had. I did try to make this similar. The servos are similar, they're comparable. And that's really the bulk of it. The only other thing that occurs to me to mention to you before we get these things on the rocks is the lovely small diff size of the AR44 portal axles from Axial, but also from a decade ago, just how small the diff pumpkin is on the Ascender. They're also middle of the axle, both of them, which is kind of unusual for crawlers. This little tiny size really made this thing stand out because at the time, the diff pumpkins for the SCX-10 1.0, which was arguably the most popular of their comparable time, it was considerably larger. So this thing does give you beautiful flowing space underneath, and that floating battery tray was interesting. Let's get them on the rocks, we'll see how they go. I still use this body today on other models. I like it because it's got posts in the rear that just kind of pop down into the rear bracket, whereas the Base Camp uses your more traditional body posts front and rear, which is absolutely fine. The last thing I should say is the departure angle on the Ascender is a little bit better than the Base Camp. So this thing's geometry doesn't look to be in favour for these two. I can say they feel similar in weight. This is a little bit lighter, but we do have that brass. And when I say beef tubes, I mean the actual brass tubes that are inside these axle housings. You had to buy them like that. The original plastic ones didn't have that. So this does have all the advantages one could hope for without going crazy with the electrics. This has portals and more recent geometry. When I say geometry, I mean the placement of the links and the axles and how it all articulates. We know this is a performer. This has a cult following even today, almost a decade after its initial release. I'm genuinely interested to see how they both go. Let's throw them around the 6 problems real quick and we'll see what we can see. Problem 1 with the Ascender. We have CVDs in the front axles, constant velocity joints. That's not the universals that the Base Camp comes with. So our steering angle is not as good, and we're currently hung up on links on the rear there. The metal front bumper balancing out the odds a little bit in the Base Camp's favour. I don't have a lot of the original plastic for this, so unfortunately. There's no overdrive in this or the Base Camp. And to get this thing to do what I want, it's taking a bit of effort. I will say it's a lovely smooth transmission. The 48 pitch spur gear, meaning we've got just a lovely low speed control. Come on. Can't get the grip from the tyres. There is grass all over these rocks, which is probably hurting its traction a little. I still think with the right line I should be able to get it though. Maybe not. Most crawlers these days can do problem 1. So we're hanging partly on the skid down there, partly on the rear links. You will notice that it's not rolling easily, it's not tumbling, but it's a battle. Come on. This is the only way we're going to get this. Nope, lost it. Alright, into problem 2. Maybe we can get that. Really, we should be able to. Just barely. My goodness. And we're still actually not out of the woods yet. It wants to roll. We can do this with a bit of throttle, but it's uncomfortable. Okay, so the brass is helping. The link's scraping there in the rear, but it remained composed. I will say that was impressive. Problem 2 is done. Problem 3, I suspect, is unlikely. Despite having that brass down low, we're having some trouble with the vehicle not wanting to roll. The brass is helping it not roll, but that weight is also probably working against it. It needs a more front biased center of gravity. We might see if we can creep up around the crack here. Gee whiz. Yeah, it's too heavy in the rear. So I'd like to see the original C-hubs replace, not C-hubs, the lockouts in the rear replace the brass ends I've got on there, if I can find them. Come on, Ascender. I really do want to see it finish these. It's a great old car, but oh look, it doesn't want to roll easily. That's nice. 3's out. With problems 1 and 3 not being doable, and 2 kind of sketchily, I don't have high hopes. See, the diff right there is being caught on the pumpkin's stuck on a little outcrop of concrete there. Portals would help that. This is partly why portals are so popular, because it gives you clearance at the cost of some center of gravity. Yeah, look how smooth it is. Gee, it's nice. This is on all the tests today are on the little Turnigy 700 milliamp hour 3S batteries I like. Now, we're gonna have to come across a bit lower. Yeah, there we go. We're just gonna reposition. I'll be genuinely surprised if we can do this. I don't have sliders on either, actually. It did come with sliders. Oh, that was our chance. That really was our chance. I don't think we're going to be able to do it. Let's just see if we did manage it. Yeah, alright. Well, that shows you 4's out. Problem 5. Oh dear. So there are 2 things that keep getting in the way here. The skid and the rear links are often getting stuck on rock. And it wants to roll quite a bit. Once it's down, it's easy to get back up. The body is really good, I know from experience, with recovering. But the fact that it wants to roll so much in the first place isn't ideal. There we go. There we go. The diff again is getting caught on the rock there. I don't think this is just a question of portals though. Certainly tyres make a difference, but these tyres aren't terrible. Nope, they're not great though. They're plenty soft, we're just having some grip issues. I'll just have one more go at this part of 5. fires out. And lastly, problem 6. Oh dear. Not ideal. Okay, problem 6. We're not expecting high results here, but you never know. Oh yeah. It certainly made that bit look easy, didn't it? A lot of cars struggle to get to that point. I just see we've lost the tyres popped out of the bead on the front left a little. It's still in enough though. Come on, Ascender. Oh dear. Nope. Well, there you have it. Probably not a surprising result that the Ascender struggled so much. You could make a reasonable argument that these tyres aren't hugely compatible with this rig, but I know them to be reasonably good. I'm going to try some different tyres just to see, and if results are vastly different, then I'll come back and let you know. But what a difference a decade of design makes, eh? This does have all the boxes checked as far as weight down low and you know, the adjustable bits and pieces. It does have a good body, and I love the way it mounts the body, but the amount of times it's getting caught up, I mean, you can see from the links front and rear and the skid, it's just absolutely covered in scratches. These poor diffs take an absolute beating as well. Despite being lovely and small, you'll note that they're mounted, the pinion comes in right at the center line of it. It's not high mounted like the AR44 axles are. So there's a lot going for this car, but it is just struggling against more superior modern equipment. Thanks for taking this little journey down memory lane. I will still hang on to my Vaterra Ascender, and I do like it, and I think we can still probably make it a bit better. But it might just go back on the shelf now next to a trophy or two and some happy memories, because I do like this old truck. But I got a lot more toys to play with these days, and gee whiz, what a time to be in the hobby. Throw me a like if you got something out of this, and I'll catch you again really soon right here on RC-TNT. Thanks for watching.